My name is Maya Evans. I'm 34. At 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in March, I was standing in the ICU hallway at Mount Sinai, still in my courtroom heels from a deposition that ran until midnight, when a nurse I'd never seen before touched my shoulder and said, "Mrs. Hayes, your husband is asking for his wife. She's in the private suite with their son." I stared at her. "I am his wife." She looked at her clipboard, then back at me, her face going pale. "Room 604. There's a woman named Lily Miller registered as—" She stopped. My phone buzzed. Ethan's mother. The text read, "Don't make a scene. Ethan needs rest." I walked to room 604. The door was cracked open. Through the gap, I could see a blonde woman in a cashmere sweater holding a sleeping boy, maybe 4 years old, against her shoulder. She was sitting in the chair I should have been sitting in. Ethan's father stood by the window, arms crossed. His mother was pouring water into a cup. They looked like a family, a complete family. And I was the stranger in the hallway. I pushed the door open. All three of them turned. Lily Miller didn't move from the chair. She just looked at me with this calm, almost pitying expression, like I was a confused patient who'd wandered into the wrong room. Ethan's mother set down the water pitcher with a sharp click. "Maya, we weren't expecting you." "I'm his wife," I said. My voice came out steady, but my hands were shaking so badly I shoved them into my coat pockets. "I got the call 2 hours ago. Car accident on the FDR. Head trauma. Why wasn't I notified immediately?" Ethan's father cleared his throat. "We handled it. Ethan's stable. The surgery went well. You didn't need to rush over in the middle of the night." "I didn't need to—" I stopped, looked at Lily Miller, at the boy sleeping against her shoulder. He had Ethan's nose, Ethan's exact nose. "Who is this?" Lily finally spoke. Her voice was soft, apologetic, like she was the one doing me a favor by being honest. "I'm Lily. I work with Ethan. This is our son, Connor. He's 4. 4 years old. I'd been married to Ethan for 7 years. We'd been trying for a baby for 3 of those years. 18 rounds of fertility treatments. 32 doctor appointments. I had the calendar entries. I had the credit card statements showing $47,000 in out-of-pocket costs because our insurance wouldn't cover it. And he had a 4-year-old son. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. Ethan's mother stepped between us. "Maya, honey, this isn't the time or place for dramatics. Ethan's resting. He has a severe concussion and possible brain bleeding. The doctor said no stress." "No stress," I repeated. I looked past her at Lily, who was now gently rocking Connor, even though he was clearly fast asleep. "How long?" "Maya, how long has he had a son I didn't know about?" Lily adjusted Connor's blanket. "We didn't want to hurt you. Ethan was going to tell you. He needed the right time." 4 years, I said. 4 years wasn't enough time. Ethan's father moved toward the door, positioning himself like he was preparing to escort me out. "This is a family matter that we'll discuss later. Right now, Ethan needs—" "I'm his family," I said. "I'm his wife. I'm legally his next of kin. I should have been called first. I should be in that chair." I pointed at Lily. "Not her." Ethan's mother's expression hardened. "Lily is the mother of his child. That makes her family, too. More family than—" She stopped herself, but I heard the rest of the sentence in the silence. "More family than you, the woman who couldn't give him a baby." My phone buzzed again. A text from Ethan's mother, even though she was standing 3 feet away from me. It read, "Think about what's best for Ethan. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I looked at the message, then at the three of them, Ethan's parents flanking Lily like bodyguards. Connor sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that his existence had just detonated my entire life. Something clicked inside me. Not anger, not even shock anymore. Something colder. Something that felt like the moment right before you make the first incision. "I'm not leaving," I said. Ethan's father stepped closer. "Maya, be reasonable. You're exhausted. You have court in, 5 hours? Go home, get some rest." We'll call you when he wakes up. I'm staying. You're being childish. I met his eyes. For 7 years, I'd bent myself into shapes to please this family. I'd skipped my own mother's birthday to attend his retirement party. I'd smiled through Thanksgiving dinners, where Ethan's mother critiqued everything from my career to my haircut to the way I folded napkins. I'd apologized for working late when Ethan wanted me home. I'd apologized for not being pregnant yet. I'd apologized for existing wrong. I'm his wife, I said again. I'm not leaving. Lily stood up, cradling Connor. Maybe I should take him home. This is too much for him. Good idea, Ethan's mother said quickly. Maya, you can have a few minutes with Ethan, just a few. He needs rest. They were negotiating my time with my own husband like I was a visiting acquaintance. Lily walked past me, and I caught a whiff of her perfume. Something expensive, floral, the kind Ethan used to buy me for anniversaries until he stopped 3 years ago, said I never wore it anyway. Connor stirred against her shoulder, and I saw his hand, small, perfect, with Ethan's long fingers. After they left, I sat in the chair Lily had vacated. It was still warm. Ethan was asleep, bandaged, an IV dripping clear fluid into his arm. He looked vulnerable, young. I reached for his hand, the way I used to, and then I stopped. I pulled my hand back. Ethan's mother was watching me from the doorway. He loves you, Maya. You know that, right? This thing with Lily. It was a mistake. It happened before you two were really serious. Connor wasn't planned, but Ethan's doing the right thing now, being a father. You can understand that, can't you? A mistake that lasted 4 years. A mistake that required setting up a life insurance trust, which I later discovered was worth $10 million, and named Connor as the sole beneficiary. A mistake that cost more in child support than our mortgage payment. When did he tell you? I asked. She hesitated. About Connor? 2 years ago. Maybe 3? Ethan wanted to wait until... Until what? Until I couldn't have children of my own? Until I was so desperate that I'd just accept his son from another woman as mine? That's not fair, Maya. You've known for 3 years. You've met Connor. You've been his grandmother for 3 years, and you never thought to tell me. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. I stood up. I need to make some calls. It's 3 in the morning. Who are you calling? My office, I said. I have a case that needs attention. What I didn't tell her, the case was mine. My marriage. And I was about to treat it like every other high-net-worth divorce I'd handled in my 12 years as a senior partner. With precision, with documentation, with zero mercy. Let me take you back 6 years, to the week before Ethan proposed. We were at his parents' summer house in the Hamptons. It was September, still warm enough to sit on the dock after dinner. Ethan's mother had made her famous lobster risotto, and we'd drunk 2 bottles of wine between the 4 of us. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the family I've always wanted. Warm, safe, stable. Ethan's father pulled me aside after Ethan and his mother went inside. We stood on the dock, watching the sunset turn the water orange and pink. He put his hand on my shoulder. You make my son happy, Maya. I can see it. He's different with you, more grounded. He makes me happy too, I said. I want you to know, he said, that if you two get married, you'll always have our support. This family takes care of its own. We don't abandon people when things get hard. I believed him. I held on to that promise like a life raft. When Ethan proposed a week later, I said yes immediately. When his mother suggested we sign a prenup, I agreed without hesitation. When they asked me to add Ethan as a co-owner on my West Village townhouse, the one I'd bought before we met, the one I'd saved for years to afford, I did it, because family takes care of its own. 3 months after the accident, I was sitting in a conference room at Whitmore and Associates, the law firm where I'd made senior partner at 29, going through discovery documents for a client's divorce. The husband had hidden $12 million in offshore accounts. The wife, my client, had no idea until she found a routing number on a sticky note in his desk drawer. Standard case. I'd handled dozens like it. My paralegal, Jessica, knocked on the door. Maya, your 4 o'clock is here. Liam Chen? He said it's urgent. I didn't recognize the name. Did he say what it's regarding? He said he's a friend of Frank's. Frank, my private investigator. I used him for client cases, surveillance, asset searches, background checks. I'd never sent him a personal referral. I told Jessica to send him in. Liam Chen was maybe 60, gray hair, expensive suit, the kind of calm confidence that comes from decades of courtroom work. He sat down across from me and slid a manila folder across the table. Frank asked me to deliver this personally. He said you'd want to see it before anyone else did. I opened the folder. Inside, photographs. Ethan and Lily at a restaurant in Tribeca. Ethan and Lily getting into a car together outside her apartment building. Ethan and Connor at Central Park. Ethan pushing him on a swing. Time stamps on every photo going back 4 years. Bank statements showing monthly transfers of $8,500 from our joint account to an account in Lily's name. Property records showing Ethan had co-signed a lease for Lily's apartment. A birth certificate listing Ethan Hayes as Connor's father, dated 4 years and 2 months ago. I flipped through page after page. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady. Frank said you didn't ask for this, Liam said carefully, but he's been working with you long enough to know when something doesn't add up. He ran into Lily Miller at a courthouse 6 months ago. She was filing for child support modification. He recognized the defendant's name. Ethan's been paying child support for 3 years, $8,500 a month. He tried to get it reduced last year. The judge denied it. I did the math. $8,500 a month for 3 years, $306,000, more than half my annual salary. Money I thought was going into our savings account. Money I thought we were using for fertility treatments, for the future, for our life. There's more, Liam said. He pulled out another document. This is a life insurance policy. Irrevocable trust. $10 million. Beneficiary. Connor Hayes Miller. Ethan set it up 2 years ago. With what money? Community property. Technically, you own half of it. I closed the folder. Why are you showing me this? Because Frank thought you should know before you make any decisions about your marriage. He said, and I'm quoting here, Maya's the best divorce lawyer I know. She deserves the same quality of evidence she gives her clients. I sat there for a long moment. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up Ethan's browser history. I'd had his passwords since we got married, shared devices, shared lives. I'd never used them before. 3 hours later, I had everything. Emails to Lily going back 5 years. Romantic emails, planning emails. Emails about Connor's preschool, his doctor appointments, his birthday parties. Emails with subject lines like, "Can't wait to see you tonight," sent on dates when Ethan told me he was working late. Calendar invites for team-building dinner that were actually reservations at restaurants in Brooklyn where we'd never been. Credit card statements showing purchases at toy stores, children's clothing stores, places I'd never heard of. And then I found the email from 6 months ago, from Ethan to Lily. I'm going to talk to Maya this weekend. I'll ask for a divorce. It's not fair to keep this going. Connor deserves to have his dad full-time, and you deserve better than being a secret. I just need to figure out the money situation first. Maya's name is on everything, the house, the car, the savings accounts. I need to get her to sign some transfers before I tell her. Otherwise, she'll take everything out of spite. I read it 3 times. He wasn't going to tell me about Connor because he felt guilty. He was going to tell me because he wanted to be with Lily. And he was going to rob me blind first. I screenshotted everything, backed it up to 3 separate clouds, printed hard copies. Then I called Frank. I need you to keep watching Ethan, every move, every transaction. I need a timeline of his entire relationship with Lily. I need witnesses. I need proof of every lie. You're building a case, Frank said. I'm building a fortress. The public humiliation came on a Thursday. I was at my office reviewing a settlement agreement for a client when my assistant buzzed me. Maya, there's someone here to see you. She says it's personal. Lily Miller was standing in my lobby. She was holding a Starbucks cup and wearing a sundress, looking like she'd just come from brunch. Behind her, I could see three of my colleagues in the break room watching through the glass wall. Maya, she said, smiling, I'm so glad I caught you. Do you have a minute? I didn't move from behind the reception desk. I'm working. This won't take long. I just wanted to talk to you about Ethan, about us. There is no us. She tilted her head, sympathetic. I know this is hard for you. I really do. But Maya, honey, you have to understand. Ethan and I, we have a child together. That's a bond that doesn't break. And honestly, I think it's time we all stop pretending. Ethan's been unhappy in your marriage for years. He told me. He stays because he feels obligated, but that's not love. That's guilt. My assistant stood frozen at her desk. My colleague from the break room had moved closer, pretending to sort mail. Connor needs stability, Lily continued. He needs his father, full-time, not just weekends and secret visits. Ethan wants to be with us. He wants a real family. And I think deep down, you know that. I think you're holding on because you're scared to be alone. She said it gently, kindly, like she was doing me a favor by being honest. Behind her, I could see more people gathering. Word was spreading through the office. Maya's husband's mistress is here. Maya's being confronted in the lobby. I set down my pen, looked at Lily, then at my assistant, my colleagues, the managing partner walking down the hallway toward us. You came to my office, I said quietly, to tell me that my husband wants to leave me for you. I came here to give you an out, to let you leave with dignity instead of fighting something you can't win. Ethan's going to file for divorce. His lawyer said the paperwork is ready. I'm just trying to help you prepare. Something hardened inside me. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. Get out of my office, I said. She blinked. Maya, you're trespassing. I'm asking you to leave. If you don't, I'll call security and have you removed. She stood there for another 5 seconds, waiting for me to break down, to cry, to yell. I didn't. I just stared at her until she turned and walked out. After she left, my assistant whispered, Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. Hold my calls. I went into my office, closed the door, and pulled out my phone. I had recordings of everything Lily had just said. My assistant's phone was voice-activated. I'd set it up that way 3 weeks ago, right after Frank told me Lily had been asking around about where I worked. I sent the audio file to Frank with a message. Harassment. Document it. Then I went back to reviewing my settlement agreement. My hands were perfectly steady. That night, I went home to the West Village townhouse. My townhouse, the one I'd bought with my own money before I'd ever met Ethan. He was in the living room, watching TV. Connor was asleep on the couch next to him. I stopped in the doorway. Why is he here? Ethan looked up. Lily had a work thing. I'm watching him tonight. In my house. Our house, Maya. We're married. I walked over to the couch. Connor was 4 years old, small for his age. Dark curls stuck to his forehead with sweat. He looked peaceful, innocent. None of this was his fault. When were you going to tell me? I asked. Ethan muted the TV. Tell you what? Lily came to my office today. She said you're filing for divorce. He had the decency to look embarrassed. I was going to talk to you this weekend. I needed to figure out how to say it. How long have you been planning this? Maya, how long? He sighed, ran his hand through his hair. A year, maybe longer. I don't know. It's not about you. You're amazing. You're brilliant. But I have a son now. My life is different. I need to be with my family. I'm your family. You know what I mean. I looked at Connor again, then at Ethan. Where's the money? What money? The $306,000, 3 years of child support at $8,500 a month. That came out of our joint account. Money I earned. Money I thought was going into savings. His face went pale. I was going to pay you back. With what? The $10 million life insurance trust you set up with community property? The one that names Connor as the sole beneficiary, which means if you die, I get nothing, even though I paid for half of it? He stood up. How do you know about that? I'm a divorce lawyer, Ethan. I know exactly what you're doing. You're hiding assets. You're transferring marital funds. You're setting up trusts to shield money from me. You're doing everything my clients' husbands do when they're planning to screw their wives in a divorce. I wasn't. You sent Lily to my office to humiliate me. You thought if you broke me down publicly, I'd just sign whatever you wanted and disappear quietly. You thought I'd be too embarrassed to fight back. He stepped toward me. Maya, please, this doesn't have to be ugly. We can work something out. You can keep the house. I'll take the car. We'll split the savings 50-50. It's fair. Fair? I laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. You stole $306,000 from me. You set up a $10 million trust without my consent. You brought your son into my home without asking, and you think offering me half of what's left is fair? I have a child to support. So do the men whose wives I represent. That doesn't give them the right to commit fraud. Connor stirred on the couch. Ethan lowered his voice. What do you want, Maya? I want the truth. I want every bank account, every credit card, every asset. I want a full accounting of where our money went for the last 7 years. And I want you out of my house by tomorrow. This is my house, too. Check the deed, I said. I bought it before we met. You're on the mortgage, but the title is in my name. This is my house, and you're no longer welcome in it. He stared at me. You're really going to do this? You already did it, I said. I'm just catching up. 3 weeks later, I was in my office when Frank called. I found something. You're going to want to sit down. I sat down. Ethan's been transferring money to offshore accounts. Cayman Islands. Started 2 years ago, small amounts at first. $5,000, $10,000, then bigger. Last month he moved $850,000. That's not child support, Maya. That's hiding assets for a divorce. Can you trace it? I can do better than that. I can get the account numbers. Ethan used the same computer for the transfers that he uses for his regular banking. He didn't clear his browser history. How did you access his computer? I didn't. You did. Marital property, shared devices, remember? You've had his password since day one. Everything you find is admissible. I pulled up Ethan's laptop. Frank was right. He'd been transferring money for 2 years, not just to the Cayman Islands, to 3 different offshore accounts in 2 different countries. The total was over $2.4 million. Money from our joint accounts, money from his salary, money from stock sales of Nymet Corp shares that we owned together. I screenshotted everything, backed it up, sent copies to Frank and to my lawyer, Liam Chen, who I'd officially retained 2 weeks ago. Then I found something else, an email from Ethan to his father dated 6 months ago. Dad, I need to move fast on the divorce. Maya's getting suspicious. I need her to sign the power of attorney forms you drafted. Can you bring them to the hospital when I have my surgery next week? She'll be emotional, not thinking clearly. It's the best time. Power of attorney forms, during his surgery, when I'd be scared, vulnerable, desperate to help him in any way I could. I kept reading. There were more emails. Ethan to his mother. Mom, can you keep Maya away from Lily at the hospital? I don't want them comparing notes before I get the transfers signed. Ethan to his father. I'm going to ask Maya to sign the documents as a precaution in case something goes wrong in surgery. She won't question it. She'll think it's standard medical stuff. Ethan to Lily. After the surgery, after Maya signs everything, I'll file for divorce. You and Connor can move into the West Village house. Maya will be out by summer. They'd planned it. All of it. The accident had been real. Ethan rear-ended a truck on the FDR because he was texting Lily. But the recovery plan was calculated. Use my fear. Use my love. Get me to sign away my assets while I was terrified he might die. And I'd almost fallen for it. If Lily hadn't shown up at the hospital that night, if I hadn't seen Connor, if I hadn't realized Ethan had a whole other family, I probably would have signed anything he asked me to sign. I called Liam. I need to file first, before Ethan knows I know everything. Are you sure? Once you file, there's no going back. I'm sure. What do you want to ask for? Everything, I said. The house, the savings, the NIMIC Corp shares, reimbursement for the $306,000 in child support he paid out of our joint account, half of the offshore money, and punitive damages for fraud. That's aggressive. He tried to rob me while I thought he was dying. I'm not being aggressive, I'm being accurate. 4 months later, I was standing in my bathroom, staring at 2 pregnancy tests, both positive, 6 weeks along. The fertility treatments had finally worked, and Ethan was gone. I sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes. I didn't cry. I just sat there, holding the tests, thinking about timing, about how the universe has a dark sense of humor. I'd spent 3 years trying to get pregnant while Ethan had a secret son. Now I was pregnant, and Ethan was living with Lily and Connor in a rental apartment in Queens because I'd kicked him out of my house. I called my doctor, made an appointment. Then I called Liam. I'm pregnant, I said. He was quiet for a moment. Does Ethan know? No, and I'm not telling him, not until after the settlement. Maya, it's strategy. If he knows I'm pregnant, he'll use it. He'll say I'm emotional, irrational, that I can't make sound decisions. He'll try to delay the proceedings. I need this done before he finds out. You're playing a dangerous game. I've been playing defense for 7 years, I said. It's time to play offense. The call came on a Tuesday in September. Liam's voice was tight, excited. Ethan's lawyer just reached out. They want to settle. No trial. Why? Because we have everything. The offshore accounts, the fraudulent insurance trust, the emails proving he planned to coerce you during surgery. They know if this goes to trial, Ethan doesn't just lose the divorce. He loses his career. He could face fraud charges, wire fraud for the offshore transfers, coercion. Elder abuse statutes might even apply if we frame the surgery thing right. What are they offering? Full reimbursement of the $306,000 in child support. You keep the West Village townhouse, the car, all marital savings. Ethan keeps his 401k and the Porsche. You split the NIMIC Corp shares 60-40 in your favor, because you can prove he devalued them by liquidating stock to fund his offshore accounts. He agrees to dissolve the $10 million insurance trust and return your half to the marital estate. No spousal support on either side. What about the offshore money? He's willing to repatriate it and split it 50-50. That's $1.2 million for you. I did the math. Between the house, the savings, the stocks, the offshore money, and the reimbursement, I'd walk away with approximately $11.3 million in assets. Ethan would walk away with maybe $2 million, and that was being generous. Counteroffer, I said. I want 70-30 on the stocks, and I want him to admit fault in writing. I want a clause in the settlement agreement that states he committed fraud, concealment, and coercion. I want it on the record. He'll never agree to that. Then we go to trial. And I'll make sure every lawyer, every judge, every client in New York knows what Ethan Hayes did to his wife. Liam was quiet. Then, I'll send the counter. 2 days later, they agreed. On the day we signed the settlement, I was 12 weeks pregnant. I'd started showing. Not much. Just a small curve under my blouse that I could hide with the right clothes. Ethan didn't notice. He was too busy looking miserable. We signed the papers in Liam's conference room. Ethan's lawyer, a grim-faced woman named Sharon, read through every clause with him. When she got to the fraud admission, Ethan balked. I'm not signing this. This could affect my career. Then don't sign it, I said. We'll see you in court. Discovery starts Monday. I'll subpoena Lily, your parents, Connor's pediatrician, everyone. He stared at me. You've changed. No, I said. I've just stopped pretending to be someone I'm not. He signed. After it was done, after Ethan and Sharon left, Liam looked at me. You won. I survived, I said. There's a difference. Let me jump forward now, 6 months after the divorce was finalized. I'm sitting in my townhouse, My townhouse, fully mine now, Ethan's name off the deed, watching my daughter sleep in her bassinet next to the couch. Her name is Clara. She has my nose and Ethan's dark hair. She's 3 months old. She's perfect. Ethan knows about her. I told him a week after she was born. He asked if he could meet her. I said maybe someday, when she's older, when she can decide for herself if she wants a relationship with him. For now, she's mine. Lily texted me last month. She said Ethan moved out. He's living with his parents now. The offshore money ran out faster than he thought. Turns out, supporting 2 households and trying to maintain a lifestyle he could no longer afford was expensive. He's working at a mid-tier corporate firm now, not the prestigious boutique he used to be at. They let him go after word got out about the settlement. Lily said she's sorry. She said she didn't know the full extent of what Ethan had done. She said if she'd known, she would have handled things differently. I didn't respond. What's the point? Ethan's parents haven't spoken to me since the settlement. They tried once. His mother called, said she wanted to apologize, wanted to meet Clara. I let it go to voicemail. Maya, honey, I know we made mistakes, but family is family. Clara deserves to know her grandparents. I deleted it. But here's what I want you to understand. I don't hate Ethan. I don't even hate Lily or his parents. Hate takes energy, and I don't have energy to waste on people who don't matter anymore. What I feel is something colder, something cleaner, relief. The relief of knowing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I spent 7 years trying to be the perfect wife to a man who was planning to destroy me. I bent myself into shapes that weren't me. I apologized for things I didn't do. I shrunk myself to make room for people who didn't respect me. And then I stopped. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship where you're always the one apologizing, always the one adjusting, always the one making yourself smaller, ask yourself this: what would it take for you to stop? What would have to happen for you to say, I'm done? For me, it was seeing Lily in that hospital chair. It was watching Ethan's parents protect his lies. It was reading the email where he called me spiteful, where he reduced 7 years of marriage to an obstacle course he had to navigate to get to his real family. That's when I stopped fighting for a marriage that didn't exist. That's when I started fighting for myself. Silence isn't peace. Silence is the price you pay for someone else's comfort. I paid that price for 7 years. I'm not paying it anymore. Clara's waking up. She's making that little squeaking sound she makes when she's hungry. I pick her up, settle her against my shoulder, and I think about what I'm going to tell her when she's older. I'm going to tell her the truth. I'm going to tell her that her father is a good person who made bad choices. I'm going to tell her that I loved him once, and that love was real, even if it wasn't built on honesty. But mostly, I'm going to tell her this: you are not responsible for other people's decisions. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And if someone you love asks you to disappear so they can be comfortable, the answer is no. Not maybe, not later, not after you've tried harder. If you've ever had to choose between staying silent and speaking your truth, type "I spoke up" in the comments. Or if you're still working up the courage, type "I'm getting there." Both are valid. Both take strength. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here.